Mexico and Brazil seeks deeper trade ties to expand beyond the US and China. And plus, we're going to be talking about Brazil's crypto market strengthened with the arrival of new players and new platforms into their market. We're going to be discussing both of those on today's episode of Wealth Wednesday. Stay tuned.
The Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Chris. Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday on the Latin Wealth platform. Hopefully you guys are blessed and well. If this is your first time tuning into the platform, thank you. We appreciate you. If you have been a long time subscriber, we also appreciate you. We also thank you. And if you can do us a huge favor and share this episode with one other person that needs to hear this information, that would mean the world to us. Now, with that being said, on our recent episodes, we've been talking a lot about the United States and how tariffs have been affecting not only the United States, but surrounding countries and whatnot. But today, I want to shift a little bit. And I want to talk about what's going on in Brazil today, and specifically the relationship that Brazil and Mexico is seeking to build. Now, nothing's official just yet. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen of the article that I'm going to be referring to today. Brazil and Mexico have begun preliminary talks to boost trade ties. Now, essentially what's going on, before I get into some of the details, is Mexico, they do business with the United States, and Brazil, they do business with China. And they want to be both of these countries want to be in a position where they reduce their dependency on the United States and China, right? While boosting intra-regional trade. So they're looking at it, they're like, yo, we're doing all these business with the United States and China and whatnot. There's a lot of uncertainties with Trump and the tariffs. Every day there's something new. They're getting involved in wars and whatnot. You know, it'd be a good idea for maybe us to do some business with each other. And then, you know, China, it has been honestly pretty dominant when it comes to trade. But even with that being said, you want to put yourself in a position where you can hedge against a country like China, just in case. You just never know, right? We're in times right now where there's a lot of uncertainties, and the best thing that these countries can do is continue to spread their eggs from one basket to many different baskets. So Brazil and Mexico reportedly held regular talks to boost their trade relations as they seek to expand partnerships beyond the U.S. and China. So I have some details right here that I pulled out from this article. If you guys want to view this full article, go ahead and just type in Brazil and Mexico, and a couple of different will pop up. This is from CryptoRank.com. But Brazil's President Lula and Mexico's President Claudia Sheinberg met at least 4 times in the recent month to deepen bilateral trade. Now, they're serious about this. They're like, yo, we need to get this going a little quicker, a little faster. How can we do business together? And even the trade secretary from Brazil is visiting Mexico in August to formalize a partnership. So we're going to be seeing a partnership between Mexico and Brazil very, very soon. And as I said, this is a strategic move to reduce dependency on the United States and to hedge against China's dominant trade. All right. And so what can we expect from this trade? All right, according to this article, some of the things that we can expect is Mexico can gain grains, so from Brazil, to ease dependency on the United States. And Brazil is a huge exporter of grains such as yellow corn. In addition, Mexico can gain new supply chains away from the United States. And they can also gain new markets for manufactured goods. So Brazil's top 3 exports are mineral fuels, including oil, oil seeds, and also different types of precious metals. All right. So these are the three biggest exports. Grains is going to be on that list as well. For Brazil, they can gain Mexican aerospace and pharma investments, entry into Mexico via the partnership, and expand into agricultural business and industrial export. As we know, Mexico's top three exports are consistently vehicles, especially car and auto parts, electrical machinery, equipment, and computers. All right. So a lot of machinery, a lot of equipment, a lot of vehicles and whatnot is what Mexico is known for exporting. All right. So let me pop open this article, and there's some numbers that I wanted to go over right here at the bottom. Official numbers from Brazil reportedly shows that bilateral trade between the country, which recorded at a $2 billion surplus, and Mexico totaled only 13.6 billion in 2024. So Brazil and Mexico bilateral trade in 2024 was $13.6 billion. They're looking to increase that. The amount was reportedly a small fraction of the $840 billion of good traded between the U.S. and Mexico in 2024. So U.S. and Mexico, as we know, massive trade partners, $840 billion, and then $161.8 billion exchanged between Brazil and China in 2024. A lot of information there. Let's get me back on the screen. What else? Only 14% of Latin America's trade is within the region. This is a very interesting statistic. So even though we are technically not too far from each other, Mexico, Brazil, it can, depending on what part of Mexico, what part of Brazil, it's not that far of a flight, but only 14% of America's trade is within the region, which is the lowest in the world. Brazil is positioning itself as a Pacific Atlantic trade carrier and deepening its BRICS ties. All right. So let's see. What was the other thing that I wanted to show you guys? Oh, that's what it was. I wanted to share this real quick. So as I mentioned, let me go ahead and share this tab instead. Look, you guys have to understand that it's imperative for these countries to mitigate risk as much as possible. And you can see there's these ads are crazy. But they want to mitigate risk as much as possible. So with this article that just came out yesterday, Trump threatens an extra 10% tariffs on BRICS as leaders meet in Brazil. All right. So he is threatening a 10% tariff rate on any country that is in the BRICS nation. And if you guys don't know who is part of BRICS, we'll share this. So the founding members of BRICS were Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and they have since expanded to South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates have all joined the BRICS nation. All right, so Trump is threatening 10% tariffs on these different nations. I think, let me see what the tariffs percentage on Mexico. I had to type in U.S. current tariffs on Mexico because this is changing every single day. So with the Trump 2.0 policy, with products complying with USMCA regulations are largely unaffected, but those not qualifying under the USMCA are subject to a 25% tariffs. So there's a potential for a lower 12% rate if Mexico continues to cooperate on issues like fentanyl trafficking and immigration. Now, why am I sharing this, right? Because as I just said, things are changing every single day. Trump is threatening additional tariffs on the BRICS nations and potentially on Mexico. It seems like something, again, new every single day. And as much as possible, you want to mitigate risk. You want to position yourself to be ready to do business with other countries, right? And this could be a microcosm of what's going on in America and what we should be doing as Americans as well. And what I mean by that is, take me perfect example. Me being an entrepreneur and dealing with the uncertainties of the economy and the world, I want to position myself and my family in the best position to be able to be flexible, to invest, to do business, to be cash ready for any opportunities. Like, you want to keep your options open as much as possible. And this is simply what these countries are doing as we're pertaining to Brazil and Mexico. Look, yeah, I mean, I really would love to get Jeremiah's side. Jeremiah is my co-host that's usually on. He'll be back on next week. But it's very interesting, and I think it's smart for these countries to do. We're looking at a lot of Latin American countries that are having this kind of this independent mindset of like, hey, let's start to develop things within our country, and let's start taking strides forward for our country. Whether it's Costa Rica, it's reshaping how people view the country, or whether it's El Salvador, that's becoming really the crypto capital of Latin America. These countries are taking strides, and they're not wanting to rely so much on other countries like USA and China. So all this is very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of it plays out. We know that China is very invested in Latin America. They are continuously doing business with Latin America, and so it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. Now, look, I have one more thing that I want to discuss to continue the conversation on Brazil. Let's see. Let's get this in here. All right, change this one. Some of these ads on this website, man, they slow the website down a lot. So, anyways, with that being said, transitioning a little bit, Brazil's crypto market strengthened with the arrivals of new players. Now, Brazil is focusing on becoming Latin America's leader in crypto regulation and innovation, right? So they want to keep up what's going on in the rest of the world, especially with El Salvador. El Salvador is really leading this. Just, I don't even want to call it a race, but this journey to making crypto really just accessible for everybody in the country, and for allowing these countries to invest in it, right? So let's dive into it. Brazil has 30% of all crypto transaction volume in Latin America 2024. 30% of all crypto transaction were in Brazil. Now, mind you, Brazil is a massive country. We know that. I'm going to go ahead and move this out the way. It's a massive country compared to a lot of other countries. It's one of the most, if not the most populated, I think. Don't misquote me because I don't want to say anything wrong, but it's definitely one of the most populated cities in Latin America. Matter of fact, let's look it up right now. Most populated cities in Latin America. I don't want to give y'all the wrong information. This is important to keep in mind because as much as we always talk about, let's see, these types of numbers, we have to put things in perspective. Okay, boom. So we'll do the top five. We'll do the top five. Boom. So we have the top most populated cities in Latin America. Sao Paulo, Brazil, approximately almost 23 million people. That is insane. Just right behind that, I mean, like, this is close. You can almost round up Mexico City to 23 million as well. Argentina, Another city, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, has about 14. Bogota, Colombia, has about close to 12 million. So it's just going to put things in perspective when you see all of the crypto transaction value. But look, 30% is 30% of all the transaction in Latin America. That is a lot. All right. So US based company Webull has chose Brazil as its first relaunch market. All right, according to this article. Enegix is a major mining firm opening data centers in Piau, Brazil. So they are going to open up some data centers out there and some mining centers. What else? The clear belief for Brazil is to be the destination for global crypto expansion. All right. So in addition to this information and them doing business with platforms like Webull, which in America is a massive platform and makes it easier for people to invest in crypto. And I believe in stocks as well. I personally don't use Webull, but I know definitely crypto and stocks. So what type of opportunity is going on as we start to wrap up this episode for Brazil when it comes to attracting these different players, these different companies? In addition to attracting these two companies, they're going to continue to attract foreign crypto investment, continue to build data center infrastructure in underserved areas, underserved cities. And really, they want to continue to set the tone for Latin America crypto regulation compared to El Salvador's Bitcoin law, right? And they want to continue to target emerging markets with strong frameworks, right? So, look, Brazil, they want to get a piece of the pie. They want to get into this. And you guys know, anytime that you provide, crypto regulations or you provide opportunities within crypto, whether it's mining, data center, or bringing these different platforms. Again, the biggest thing is that you're going to be bringing in foreign crypto investors. You're going to be bringing in people with a lot of money that want to go to these cities and take advantage of some of the initiatives that they're offering, maybe even live out there in Brazil and invest into the community and pour into the economy. And this is essentially what Brazil is hedging on and what they're betting on. So Brazil is making some big moves in the crypto space and intralateral trading with Mexico as with another country. So I know that was a lot, but to wrap it all up, we'd love to know you guys' thoughts about some of the moves that Brazil is making to continue to push themselves as a country that is honestly being innovative, honestly is rolling with the tides. Some of these other countries that we'll eventually talk about, it's kind of like they're being stagnant with their mindset. They're not innovating. They're not improving. And I'm always a fan of Latin American countries that are working together, finding ways to partner with each other, but also to open up doors for new foreign investments, right? So that's it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If there's a country that you guys want us to hit on or talk about or an article, please let us know, and we will be surely to do that. It's your boy Chris from the Latin Wealth Podcast. Catch you in the next one. Peace.